Hi, everyone. Welcome to the MenoLounge. I'm Julie Gordon-White, CEO of MenoWell, Menopause Energy and Protein Bars. And I'm really excited for this topic today. We hear this word in the news every day, especially in the Meno conversation. I'm going to bring up our expert today as I'm chatting about it. But you know that Ozempic impact us in menopause? Is it a good option? Is it not a great option? All the things. And I'm excited today that we're going to talk to our in-house clinical nutritionist, the most amazing superstar, Barb Sobel. Hi, Barb.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm great.
I'm super
I'm doing this.
excited
I
today
know,
to talk
right?
about
We
this. Yeah.
we've been talking on our Slack channel, like, oh, we can't wait for this. And I have to say, I'm actually handle the holidays posts here, and I'm not handling it that well. I am from food, but not from schedules. So I don't think I need Ozempic though. We've got that covered. But
Yeah.
let's talk about it because this is a no judgment zone, and we're here to talk about Ozempic, Wegovy, all the things, alternatives, what the pros and cons are, especially as it relates to menopause. Right? Is that what we are
Right.
all aligned on?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a great topic because I'm sure people have heard about these drugs in the news. They started out as diabetes drugs, and there's a whole class of them with a lot of different names. But, for some people, they can be great, but just like anything, there can be side effects and consequences, and I think for menopausal women, that's a big issue.
Yeah. So Barb, we hear the name Ozempic the most, and that's what really is kind of is the biggest brand. But there's Wegovy also, right?
Right, right.
Any others? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. They all come from a peptide called semiglutide, and different companies have different names, and some of them have some other things in them. They're basically a class of glucagon-like peptide one. Um, and they are GLP-1 because it's way easier to say,
I was gonna say, can we spell that?
agonists. So,
Glucagon, like, yeah.
and what they do is they mimic a natural protein peptide that we have. It gets formed in our gut, but we have receptors all over our body, and it mimics this hormone. But hormones in our bodies are very small. They can have really intense messages and changes in our body, but we put out little bits of hormones. So this is a pretty big, much bigger dose. And so it's interesting that it mimics what we already have.
And so that mimic the way I actually learned about it the first time I was at an event, and a woman told me that she was taking Wegovy and she had lost a lot of weight. She was very clinically obese and had some medical related issues, but it made her sick. It made her really uncomfortable. And so she told me she actually was eating our bars because it was like one thing that she could eat to not completely kind of just fall apart with no energy because she
Yeah.
couldn't eat very much or anything because she didn't feel good. So I want to talk a little bit about those side effects because that's how the drug actually works, right? It makes you feel full already.
Right. It
Is
has
that
a
it?
lot of different pathways, and let's start with that. That's a good place to start. So it's developed as a diabetes drug. So one of the things it does is it triggers insulin from our pancreas, and that helps take blood sugar or glucose from going around our body and put it in our cells.
Mm.
So it brings down your blood sugar, which is great, especially if you're diabetic. It helps keep our liver from producing more glucose, which is something that we do when we're low in it. Like if you were out exercising or sometimes even overnight, you need to make a little bit more. So it dampers that. It slows our stomach emptying, which makes
Mm.
us feel full longer. So we don't
Mhm.
really want to eat. And a lot of people lose complete interest in food. They just like,
Not mad about that. No.
yeah. Well,
Not
that's one
every
of the
day,
things,
but like on Fridays and
Yeah, no, but it happens all the time. And then it makes you feel full. And so and it does a couple other things. Like they're finding that it stimulates our brown body fat, which helps us burn more calories or more fat burning, and it can
Yeah,
decrease
brown
inflammation.
fat. Mhm.
But there for some people, the loss of appetite is great. Sometimes it goes a little too far. I've read about people who just no longer like things they loved, like their morning coffee,
Hmm.
and that sort of joy is gone from
And food
just
is an important part of our
yeah,
lives. I mean, just eating and social, but just enjoyment of taste. So that's kind of a sad thing, but I
yeah.
understand, if this is something important for your health, then we have to do what we have to do, right?
Right,
So,
exactly. So nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, it affects everyone's body differently.
mm,
Some people get some muscle pain and then you inject yourself. So, there could be an issue, a pain point where you actually the injection site.
mm,
So that can be another thing too. And then there's some like longer term effects, but those are affect people kind of mostly at the beginning, and especially as they are ramping up their doses.
mhm.
And everyone's different. Some people don't have those, and some people diarrhea, some people constipation. They're opposite, right? So there's
Yeah.
not just one side effect.
So, and these drugs have been around for a long time, right? So it's
Yeah,
not
they have
like
been.
they're new to the market. So, in terms of studies and efficacy, it's legitimate, yeah,
Yeah, but they were brought to market for diabetes.
for
So there's
diabetes, right?
great,
So new as
right,
weight loss, yeah.
not as weight loss. So we don't know long term,
Mm,
if you don't have diabetes, that maybe you've tried other ways to control it, what happens? And one of the things I worry about is if you are bringing down the amount of calories you're eating significantly because you're not hungry. It's great for weight loss, but are you getting enough nutrients to really fuel yourself long term?
mhm.
And as we get older, you've talked about this a lot. Bone loss is a really big issue. Muscle loss, really big issue. Are we getting enough nutrients so that our brain stays strong and engaged? There's a lot of
Right.
questions about that. And I'm not, those things haven't been studied yet because the drug wasn't studied in that capacity. And I hope someone's doing this.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. That's, of course, I've done a lot of research and we've talked so much about it as well. And that is my concern that, we see in certain areas of the country in California, Hollywood,
Yeah,
like, whoo, what happened to her? She's
yeah,
gone, So I can understand why it's so attracting for people to and the idea of like let's just drop, especially in menopause, it's so that weight is so frustrating. And what we did in our 40s, all that cardio, it actually
right.
worked and now it doesn't, and starving
Yeah,
yourself doesn't work. And so well, actually it does, but it doesn't, it has a boomerang effect. So that's what I'm concerned about with these drugs, Ozempic, Wegovy, etc., is that yes, we can lose that middle, thank goodness. However, are we sacrificing muscle and bone density? And especially on the muscle side, when we lose that muscle mass, as soon as you stop taking that drug and start eating normally, we're going to gain all the weight right back, right?
yeah,
Because you don't have that muscle mass that keeps our metabolism burning, 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 not to mention strength. And when we don't have strength, then, that speaks to the whole bone density thing, weakness, all that stuff. So long term, and when we
longevity,
get
long-term
longevity,
health. Yeah.
I'm concerned. I'm super concerned.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
my
I
take on it.
think that there is a way to take these drugs and ramp on with them, be on them, even ramp off with them if you are really mindful about nourishing your body
Mhm.
and you're still doing, you're really focusing on a higher protein diet and you're focusing on lifting weights and building muscle, and you're making sure that you're getting all of the basic things you need to get to build bone tissue.
Yeah.
But what happens is a lot of times for a lot of people, it's just they're not really hungry. And it's so easy. So you still have to do all the work if you're on these, if you really want to have the long-term benefit. And, you know, these drugs are expensive, right? They're covered for diabetes, but they can be very expensive for weight loss. And if you go off of them, you know, you run the risk of gaining all the weight and then sometimes even more. I saw one study that said 40% of the weight loss people are losing on these drugs is muscle. And that's a lot.
And that makes perfect sense, right? Because what we want is actually fat loss. We don't want weight loss. So these drugs in general, if you're not working out, lifting weights,
heavy weights,
resistance training, heavy weights, you know, working your way up, don't start with 20 pounds, start with wherever you are. But if we're not lifting heavy weights and we're not focusing on getting protein in a nutrient dense diet, then we're losing weight, but we're losing muscle as a part of that weight. And so what we want to focus on is fat loss. So when we eat, you know, prioritize protein and nutrients and resistance weight training, then we're losing fat. And that's really the conversation we need to be having, not weight loss, fat loss.
Right, exactly. And we'll lose some muscle, but that happens in any time you lose weight. You're going to lose a little bit, but we want to minimize that.
Minimize significantly. Yeah.
So there, well, I think one thing that's, or a couple things that are really interesting about these drugs is since we have GLP-1, we create it in our body. There's a bunch of foods that help us increase our own natural GLP-1 hormone. And one of them is protein-rich foods, which is so fascinating because that's what we need to be eating anyway. Another one is fiber. And
check.
Check, right? Which are like, those are things that we should be focusing on anyway.
Right.
So
I love that. So protein, because protein makes you feel really full. And fiber makes you really full, right? That's the whole point of Ozempic and Wegovy, etc., is so you feel full, so you don't want to eat. So let's do that with food. Wow, what a concept! And when you work out with heavy weights, I don't really want to eat for a little bit because my body's like, oh, that was a lot, you know. So, natural approach to feeling full. Oh, good. I knew it. Here we go. Parent in real life. I'm a parent in real life times 3. Yes.
So great examples. She's asking for examples. So, you know, it can be animal protein, you know, your chicken, your fish, anything like that, meat, if you eat it. Some of the vegetarian proteins are high in fiber and in protein. So your beans and legumes, pea protein, lentils, black beans. So those can be a twofer.
Can I offer too, for those who can eat dairy? I'm going to do a video on this, if not today, tomorrow. Barb, hold me to it, okay?
Okay.
I always say I'm going to do that. I'm like, I'm too busy. But if you can eat dairy, cottage cheese and Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
So here's my go-to. I think I finally nailed it, Barb, for my protein forward. For breakfast, I have a protein oatmeal because I want all my fiber, a scoop of clean protein in that, plus a tablespoon of flaxseed and a half a cup of blueberries.
Awesome.
It's like
great.
A super duper power bowl.
You can put a little cinnamon in there too.
Oh, okay.
Cinnamon helps bring down your blood sugar. It will give it a sweet flavor, but it has no sugar. And then I've also read what is it? A teaspoon of cinnamon can increase your natural GLP-1 levels for 2.5 hours.
Oh, I am adding that.
Add that cinnamon.
I'm also trying to stick with my 12-hour intermittent fasting or, you know, eating windows, sometimes to 16, but I know you told me 12, 12, 12, at least 12. So, so I'm past that now.
Great.
It's easy on Tuesday after the MenoLounge. No eating till after the MenoLounge. So,
and that just depends on how your body responds.
Yeah.
Right. And if you are a morning exerciser, you might need to eat. because
I always say like a half a MenoWell bar, not more than that because of the fiber, but you're going to get those fats, some protein,
yeah,
fiber, just enough to fuel you up,
yeah,
but
yeah.
not too much. Okay.
You know,
So
I mean, wait, I want to tell you one other
yeah,
time I'm really enjoying the Meno bars. If I go out to lunch, I sometimes feel like I don't get enough protein. If I get like a salad or
salad.
something, it's
Yeah.
a little like I want the vegetables and stuff, or even a soup sometimes,
Yeah.
and just don't have enough. So I'll have a little Meno bar as my dessert, and I can I feel like I'm topping off. Getting
what's your flavor this week? I know we all switch around.
you know what? It's peanut butter right now.
Sticking on the peanut butter. I know.
Peanut butter. And I was chocolate die hard for a
Die
long
hard.
time. Die hard, but now I'm kind of like I find myself going to the peanut butter.
Me too. I go back and forth. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm having, that protein power oatmeal, and I'm going to add cinnamon. That's a no-brainer. I love cinnamon. Okay.
Great.
Lunch, and then Parent in Real Life said yes, she's good with tomatoes and pistachios in the cottage
Ooh,
cheese.
that
So
sounds
I
great.
do two. I actually get those individual containers because I was only eating one. Here's another piece. Don't be afraid to eat,
Yeah.
especially if it's protein. Okay.
Right.
If it's protein, don't be afraid to eat it. So now I eat two of those. So in my breakfast, I have over 30 grams, 34 grams of protein. Now at lunch, I have 34 grams of protein from cottage cheese, and I just pile on whatever veggies on the side,
Yeah.
not mixed in, but I want that crunch because all that mush from the cottage cheese, you know, carrots, cucumber, snap peas, any crunchy thing I have that really satisfies me. So you got that. Now look at, I'm already at 68 grams of protein by lunchtime.
That's awesome. That's a win. Yeah. So then you can eat something for dinner and you don't have to go overboard.
Okay, here's my go-to, my lazy go-to, egg roll in a bowl. Have you had that?
No, explain.
I should
We
share
might
this.
be having it tonight.
I know. See, these are alternatives to Wegovy, by the way, because we're talking about Ozempic, about, you know, staying full, because that's what those drugs do. So if we eat a protein forward diet, then we're staying full. So I'll have my bar usually in the afternoon, because that's when I start like walking around, like looking at them. I need to drink water, and I'm hungry, right? So I'll usually have peanut butter or peanut butter chocolate, or it depends, double chocolate brownies. Sometimes I really need blueberry almond, and occasionally toasted vanilla almond, but usually in the afternoon, I need something with that powerful flavor and fiber. I'm full, good to go. Dinner, egg roll in a bowl, which is ground turkey.
Yeah.
And then, you know, season it the way you like. And then shredded cabbage. I buy the bags of shredded cabbage. A whole pound of ground turkey, 1 or 2 shredded cabbage. Mix that up. Put whatever you want. If you want a little drizzle of sesame oil, I wait till the end. Don't use it in cooking because you use too much, but you get the good flavor at the end, like a topper. Oh, Barb, it's so filling.
Okay, right? I'm going to try that. Yeah. You know what? I've been buying the shredded broccoli and doing kind of the same thing. Yeah. And it cooks in 2 seconds.
2 seconds, and then you've got that core protein, which is the ground turkey. Have hamburger if you want. Parent in Real Life. You can find them on mymenowell.com or on Amazon. Just search MenoWell. Thanks for asking. And so having that now with 5 ounces, so I upped my turkey.
Yeah.
I used to have 4, you know, palm size, which is fine, but I glob it on to 5. Now here I am at 40 grams of protein. So now those 3 meals plus the bar, and I'm at like 120 grams of protein. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and you know, you don't have to get your protein all in one serving of whatever. So say you did your turkey and you wanted to put some sliced almonds on it, or a little bit of feta or goat cheese, and you changed up the flavor with the same basic recipe. Those things count as well. So you don't, you know, if you wanted to stay with your 4 ounces of ground turkey and you wanted to kind of supplement with protein-rich condiments, that would work too.
Like Parmesan, shredded Parmesan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a winner there. Yeah. So these are just my hacks, because I always try to focus on, especially during the week. I don't know how you guys all are. Barb, you're great. You make wonderful meals. I see you post. If you want to have some food porn that's super healthy and yummy and delicious,
I'm so, it's, you know what, I only post
follow
the good
Barb.
pictures. But you know what, one of my hacks is almost every Sunday night, if we're home, I will make a whole chicken. And there's only two of us, so I can get 3 meals out of that.
Yeah,
So, or I can get one dinner and a couple lunches. So
yeah.
that sets me up at the beginning of the week.
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Make your protein on the weekend if you can. I'll usually make 3 pounds of ground turkey if I'm doing that for the week. Or my mom told me the whole time I'm raising 3 kids, and I never did it. And I'm now at 58, I have no kids like in the house. Like, why did I not do this? Is a slow cooker. I
Oh
will
yeah.
put 3 pounds or 2 pounds of chicken breast in the slow cooker. And then you've got shredded chicken and for any topping,
Yeah.
tacos, eggs, salad, anything you want. Easy, easy peasy for the whole
Yeah.
week. So
Yeah, I agree. And once, in the slow cooker, you put it in and forget it. Go do whatever else you want to do around the house. And a couple hours
and
later, and your house smells delicious.
it
Yeah,
smells good. And it's hard to wreck. By the way, I
it is
usually
hard to
do
wreck.
a neutral seasoning, salt and garlic and pepper, because then I can use it for different applications. Like, I really
Yeah,
don't want taco. Well, actually, I do like taco for breakfast with eggs sometimes. But that way it's got a neutral, and then you can just add whatever
yeah,
on
that's what
top.
I do. I'll do it super plain so that you can then dress it up once it's cooked.
Yes. So these are our alternatives, by the way, if you're just
Yeah,
jumping in to Wegovy or Ozempic. But talking about if Ozempic is something that you feel is good for you, Barb, let's go back to what do women need to do if they feel like that's a good option for them to make sure that they're losing fat and not just losing weight?
yeah. So a couple things. So you want to have a protein forward diet. You want to make sure that you're getting enough fiber in your diet. The recommendations for women are 25 grams a day and men are 38. You still want to be getting healthy fats. So think olive oil, think nuts and seeds, think avocado, think fatty fish like salmon. Our bodies need that. They actually are very satiating, even though fat has more calories. They are very satiating and they help support your own natural GLP-1. But we need those in our body, especially for our brains. You want to be doing strength training. You still want to be doing some cardio. You might need to change it up a little bit, maybe decrease some of the endurance type of things and add in a little bit more high intensity interval training to
Mm-hmm.
round it out a little bit. We need to be moving during the day, right? We can't just do our 1 hour of exercise. That doesn't cut
Right,
it. We need to
right.
move during the day. You need to sleep,
Yes.
right? Which is a really hard thing in menopause for many of us,
Even
myself
though I'm
included.
so postmenopausal,
Yeah.
last night I had the most amazing 8 hours of sleep, but the night before I had horrible sleep. Woke up at 2, couldn't go back until 4, ended up sleeping later than I wanted to because I was so tired in the morning. I like to get up early, and I hate it when I sleep until 7 because I didn't sleep well from 2 to 4.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Still happens. Yes.
Yeah. So that's important. And if you're not sleeping well, you gotta get to the bottom of it. Just
Okay.
that might be a sleep study. It
No,
might be really being accountable for your habits, right?
true confessions.
Yeah.
I drank so much water that day that I had to get up.
Oh,
I had to keep getting up. I had to keep getting
yeah.
up. So, hydration, good.
Early. Yeah.
Early.
Early, 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 early.
And
Drink
of
that
course
water
I
in
know
first thing
better,
in the
but I was
morning when
just
you
like,
wake up. Yeah.
I was so excited that I was actually hitting my water goal for the day. I'm like, I'm almost there. I'm like, oh, not worth it.
No,
Not
not
worth
good.
it.
Yeah. So let's see. Stress is another
Yeah.
thing. And we know stress messes up our insulin and it makes us crave different food, the higher carb, sugar, fat type of foods. So we need to work on that as well.
Yeah.
And so you have to really do all the same things that you'd be doing if you were not on one of these medications, but your window of food is a little bit smaller, right? Because you're just not as hungry, so you're not eating as much. So you have to really dial in. There's not as much wiggle room for fun food because you're eating so much less. So it's not the time to be, going and having French fries.
French fries is not a vegetable group.
Right.
I mean, it is a potato.
According to Congress, it might be, but not
it might
like,
the food pyramid.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just have less room for those fun foods if you're eating so much less food, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, a couple of things I recommend my clients to stay on top of is get your blood test done regularly, so you can see if you're getting low in any nutrients, and that would be related to intake,
especially your D.
Yeah, exactly, and your B vitamins, which you can tell from a standard blood test. So I think that's important. If you have not had an initial DEXA scan, go ask your doctor to look at your bones, get that initial baseline. And if you're on one of these drugs and you haven't done one in a while, do a DEXA scan, because if you see that you are having bone loss
and muscle loss,
because you can see that on a DEXA, then you need to implement some strategies, and then you want to make sure those strategies are working. So you want to follow up with that. You can get a bioimpedance scale for your bathroom. It's not as, it is not on the same level as.
That's what I was going to say. I know. Can we trust those, Barb? I always feel like,
You know what? If you're consistent, you can see changes. I would not use it as a baseline thing, but if you have your baseline and you know what it is and you're tracking changes, then you can see, are you losing muscle, are you losing fat, what's happening in your body.
That is write that down, everyone, because even if it's a regular scale, but these specialized scales, we tend to. I was listening to Dr. Peter Attia the other day and his guest, and how we're so skeptical of certain things, but we'll take anything that we have on our watch or on the scale. It's the gospel, right? So, and we know that there's some fudge room in there. However, if you track it over time, because over time is what matters, especially if we're watching the scale, looking every day to go down. As women, come on. We know one, extra water or a certain time of the month, if you still have a cycle, you're going up and down, and you don't want your emotions to fluctuate with the scale. But looking at over time trends with a baseline, that is a beautiful way, because data, numbers, they tell us, they tell a story. But don't get all hung up on exactly what the number is, right?
Right. And there's some doctor's offices and gyms that have really, expensive, well-calibrated. That's not something you'd have at home. So if you have access to that, it's worth checking out. A tape measure can be great too. Look at your waist size, look at your leg or your arms. Are you, and you can also see in your body how it's changing.
Yes, I love a tape measure, because a tape measure doesn't lie, especially on the thighs and arms, because you can't suck in.
Right,
exactly. In your stomach, but you can't suck in your thighs and arms. But when I do my waist measurement, because of hip to waist ratio, and if we want to talk about that, but I suck in my stomach as hard as I can to try to get, and not just because I want this small number, because I don't want to trick myself in doing it a medium, just a little bit, and think that's it. Or if you try to push it out as far, so I try to go the other way. I don't know if that's that's just my mind game.
You're supposed to just be as you are, but.
Yeah, but what is that? As women, we have held our stomachs in for our whole ding dang lives.
That's true, right? Yeah.
Okay.
It's true.
We'll talk about hip to ratio, waist ratio on a different MenoLounge, because I think that's important. We'll come back in January and do that. All right. Sticking to the topic. I get so excited talking to you. You know that.
I know. So, another thing that's really important that we haven't talked about, our gut microbiome influences our weight. And there's different phyla or families of bacteria. And if we are high in one family, the way we process the food and carbohydrates is the way the bacteria does is different. So if we are high in a family called Firmicutes, we're going to be more, it's going to make us more fat. And if you're high,
you lost me at Firmicutes.
yeah, I know. Don't ask me to spell it.
Okay, I won't. But give us a definition, explanation. I haven't heard that.
It's a phyla, a family of bacteria. So a lot of different bacteria fall into this family. Then there's another one called Firmicutes, and oh my God, I've gone blank on it.
Okay,
I need some MCT oil.
Another, I know. Get out your bar. Eat it really fast.
But it starts with a B. Firmicutes and Bacteroides. See?
Woo. Right. Say those things fast. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so if you're higher in Firmicutes, your ratio, your body's going to have higher fat.
Look at Sarah just shared for
Sarah
you.
sent it in. Thanks, Sarah. You didn't put how to say it phonetically.
Yeah.
If you're higher in Bacteroides, you are going to be, you're going to burn more fat. And if your gut isn't healthy and you're not eating fiber to keep that gut healthy, it's like aliens, right? It's these other beings that are inside of us that are affecting our weight. And it doesn't even have to do with all the other things that we're doing. So that's another thing that we really want to make sure that our gut is healthy and to support us in so many ways. But that's another way.
I love that. That's why if you're going to take one of these medications, Ozempic or Wegovy, you have to prioritize your nutrition, right? You have to, because you want your gut health to be in order, because it impacts so many things in our body, including our brains. And in menopause, we're struggling enough with brain fog, etc. So you got to prioritize that nutrition in a small window, along with protein, to get that gut health as optimal as possible.
Right. So a lot of things, like, we have to, I think that these drugs have a place and they've been really effective for people. And there's a lot of people that have combinations. I mean, there's so many reasons why we could be gain weight. There's just what happens in normal menopause, but there's all sorts of factors, socioeconomic factors, access to food things, emotional issues. We could be on medications that made us gain weight. There's all sorts of reasons. And sometimes these drugs can be really helpful for people who have tried everything, but we still need to be doing, even if we're on them, all of the things that we need to do if we're not on them.
That's the big takeaway there. Like the rules don't change.
Right.
The best practices don't change. Right. Whether you are shedding middle or weight loss or fat loss, which is the goal, naturally with whole foods, with things to help you when you need support, like a MenoWell bar, or you're using a weight loss drug. But the rules don't change.
Right.
They don't. Yeah. Not for optimal
and they become
outcome.
Even more important, honestly, because you're, those diet and lifestyle things, because you're bringing in less food. So you have to be even more vigilant.
Yeah. And we don't want it back. That's the other thing.
Right.
That, if you're taking it for medical reasons, such as diabetes or things like that, then maybe you're going to be on that drug for life. Who knows? But if you're taking it just for weight loss from fat loss, maybe it's temporary, but you don't want to gain it back. Because Barb, do you know the percentage? I want to say over like 80% of people that go on a diet gain weight back, and I might be making that up. So
no, I think it's 70-80%. It's pretty high.
It's very high. And
what happens is a lot of people, because you've lost muscle.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the whole big what was the biggest loser?
Yes, exactly.
They've done on those people. Yeah.
because even though they were working out, but they were losing so quickly. You know, one thing I thought of, and I hope you have another minute for this, is that when we lose weight quickly and without nutrients, many women have hair loss.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any studies have come out about weight loss drugs and hair loss yet. If maybe you can take a look if we haven't, that's something we can talk about.
I think that'd be really interesting to look at, that nail strength.
Yeah.
You know, we do see Ozempic face, right? Where people lose the fat in their face and they look much more, they look like they've aged.
That's when we like a little bit of fat in our cheeks.
Right, exactly.
That's what my mom, who's 83, she's like, I'm not going to lose. My mom is slim. You know, she's 5 feet and she weighs like 119 or something. And she's like, I'm not losing any more weight because I don't want to get all wrinkled. I need this fat in my cheeks,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think that those are things that, you know, we don't get deficient in nutrients for a while. And so we have, I mean, I would love to see some studies on what happens, you know,
and we get upset
with
about
muscle and bone too.
Muscle and bones. But, you know, there's something about our hair.
Yeah.
There's something about our hair. So it's really scary. And we're already at risk of losing hair during menopause. I still shed a lot of hair, more than I ever did. I used to have so much hair. And so I had hair to lose, but still. And so I know that that can happen as well when you're not prioritizing nutrients. So, so big takeaways, Barb.
Yeah, big takeaways. You know, I think there's a time and a place for these, and they can be really helpful for people. But still paying attention to the same diet and lifestyle things that we would as, you know, perimenopause, menopause women, we still have to do if we were to take these medications. And those same things help support our own natural production of GLP-1. So it is a win-win. It's
which keeps people GLP-1. That's my new thing. I didn't have that much. Got it in my toolbox now.
It keeps your blood sugar stable, so which is huge, which you need to do to lose weight. So it's higher protein, fiber, some good fats, staying hydrated, sleeping well, moving, and with weights, and sleeping and dealing with stress.
No surprises.
All the things, no surprises.
All the things.
Yeah.
I love it. You heard it here on MenoWell from Barb Sobel, clinical nutritionist. You can take this to the bank. I'm so glad
you brought this topic today, because it's something that I think people are talking about a lot. And there's a perception that it's like the be all end all and it's all you have to do. And with weight loss, it's never a one thing and that's it. It's hard and it takes work. And I think that's the message. And
we can still shed weight, menopause weight, during and after menopause, correct?
Exactly. Absolutely.
So the idea that you have to be stuck with Middle for life is not true.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah.
Why I started MenoWell in the first place.
Yeah.
Barb, thank you.
Thank you.
If viewers, people who watch this or the recording have questions and that they would like to ask, can they post them in the comments, and then will you come back and we can
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Love to.
All right. So if you want to ask Barb more things, in the comments, and we'll circle back. Thanks everyone for being here. Barb, thank you.
You're welcome. Love you.
See you soon.
See you later.
Everyone. Take care.